Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Had an extra long daily brief today, so I probably won't do too much here today. Tuesday evenings, we have our Stock Pickers Club, the TRI Secret Options Formula Club meeting. A lot of people were kind of like, kind of waiting for the shoe to drop before we start getting uber aggressive on the bull side in the stock market. Things are still sort of, cleaning up, if you will. And of course, we're waiting for the politicians to finally get this silly stimulus package all finalized and done. And I think the broader market's also waiting for that to a certain degree. A lot of volatility in the market right now. Stock index is up like to 1-2% on a day, down 1-2% on a day. So because the index numbers are so big right now, it's awfully tough. You look up, Dow's up 400 points, but really that's not even really that noticeable of a move nowadays. So welcome to the 21st century. I suppose if the money printers have their way, Japanification, we should probably see just, basically add a zero onto everything on your bill. And then that way they can just inflate their way out of this debt problem that they've handed us, baby boomers. Thank you very much, baby boomers. Appreciate it. The question ultimately for us going forward is the central bankers have said that this is an unsustainable policy, this idea that Western governments can just endlessly spend more money than they bring in on an annual basis. At some point, interest rates are going to turn up in earnest. I think in the short term, this was just sort of like a wake-up reminder that, hey, money does actually cost something, by the way. But that trend of now higher interest rates, well, it won't be that noticeable here probably over the next 5-10 years as we work our way through this COVID recovery now. Once we get sort of beyond COVID world and we get into this new sort of what does this new paradigm look like, I think we have to accept the fact that interest rates are going to be trending higher now for the next probably good 20 years. And so if our Western governments can just barely make the interest payments now with interest rates at historic lows, what happens when maybe interest rates double? Are we technically broke, bankrupt, out of business? It's one thing for Joe Sixpack on Main Street to go, I'm out of business, give me free stimmies. What happens when governments go, I have no money, and they turn to the bankers, and the bankers go, I don't care, that's nice. Nobody says I have to lend you money indefinitely. And that's usually how governments and societies collapse. That's what happened in Russia in the end of the Soviet Union, is they just simply ran out of money, and nobody would give them any more money, and that was it. I don't think we're there with the United States of America right now. As long as the 1% gets what they want, Japanification, as long as they maintain their annual percentage rates of return, because keep in mind, all their salaries and stuff, they're all indexed to inflation, so they will go up at the rate of inflation's pace or faster. Make no mistake about it, people that are in that upper echelon, executive stuff like that, they will not feel the effects of this. The people that really get screwed are people like you and me, at the bottom of the ladder. That when we go to the grocery store, we're like, oh my goodness. So, that's the society that we live in. The interesting thing is, what's your choice? Do you want to live in a society of communism? Klaus, you will own nothing and be happy. You will have no aspirations in life. You will be a drone. You will do as you're told. Or do you want to have some sort of choice, which is kind of an illusion? You have choice as long as the people that are running the show have built-in profit margins, but that probably means that your standard of living will be sacrificed to maintain their profit margins. Interesting historical debate, and unfortunately, probably in our lifetimes, we're never going to, actually see the answer to it. But it is fascinating. If these videos can somehow last over time, it would be so cool for historians to come back and listen to, our rhetoric as we're blabbing away through this big millennial turn, and how were these problems solved in the centuries ahead. My hunch is at some point there, you always think of like Terminator and, people that do sort of future sort of projections, guys that say they've been to the future. It turns out that there is some horrific nuclear war that's coming up here probably in the next 50 to 100 years. So enjoy the blue sky and the pretty flowers while it lasts, because my hunch is humanity's probably going to have to go through a major correction here, both in population size and also the way that this whole sort of human dynamic works on this planet. Anyway, there's a nice fun rhetoric rant to start your offering. Kaboom. For you guys in particular, like I said, until we have those politicians do their thing, it looks to me like it's sort of like we're just going to keep pushing the train in the direction that it was headed, this sort of repricing assets higher, inflating asset prices to deflate the currency, to offset the horrendous debt situation. I don't see any change to that story right now. I've been musing with the community. Of course, Brian's always sort of like over-exaggerated worried, but musing with the community that between now and the options expiry, anything could happen here in the market. We know that there's a big strike up at 4,000 on the ES contract. Up top, I was a little surprised to see, maybe I should change this back to a daily chart. Maybe that's what's screwing me up there. I was a little surprised to see the pullback in energy and oil prices. Yeah, so if the daily chart's not nearly as catastrophic. But interesting disconnect here. This historically doesn't usually play out this way, but in an interesting sort of way. The tech stocks had a really big rally there to come back off the bottom, and they kind of needed oil prices to calm down to get that rally. So maybe that's half of the reason why the tech stocks rallied as they did. But interesting too how our breadth indicator, it's I don't even know if you'd even call it bullish of the stock market. We're dead cat bouncing off of the fast. So there is a bit of an upbid in equities in the short term, but we're still in a bearish sort of stance here. And it does explain why the stock market is just very herky-jerky here, just kind of going sideways. Also, too, I guess, to a certain degree, seeing the oil pulling back here for the past couple of days, our breadth indicator did suggests that the commodities, look at that. The commodities really have calmed down here. I remember last week we were looking at that going, be careful. Whenever you see this breadth indicator either overbought or oversold, that's usually a warning, which, to a certain degree, I think the bonds are overdone to the downside. It would make total sense to me that the day that legislation's passed, the Fed could come in and just buy tons of long-dated U.S. Treasuries, bring those interest rates back down, but they just don't have the ammunition yet, and I think they're just waiting for that. And in a weird sort of way, I did see some comments from sort of site people saying, look, and I'm still just waiting for one more leg down in equities. And maybe that makes sense, right? Legislation's passed, sort of, okay, dust is settled, nothing happens. And people are like, well, I thought that Beamish guy said as soon as the legislation's passed, Fed's going to come in with a bazooka. And nothing happens. And then all of a sudden, maybe a little selling starts. And, you look at the bond market, the corporate bond market looks a little dangerous right now. And then that starts the stock market, people starting to worry. Then the selling starts going in, and then the Fed comes in with the bazooka. I kind of like that thinking. It makes sense. I do find it interesting that crypto, our breadth indicator signals coming out of crypto, were pretty solid there the other day. And also to our bullish percentage index. Love this work that we've got going here. Beautiful direction. Wondering if with maybe, it's almost kind of like, well, you're too late to buy, and now, with the spread in the matrix, it's probably, you don't want to chase. Remember Brian about a month or so ago got all upset at people for chasing, and how that ended. I get the impression, like our bullish percentage, gee whiz, that's awfully wide. We probably need a little bit of this now. But one thing that I see developing here is I think it's, like off a year sheet. I mean, man, they have really pressed these juniors. Look at that. Bang, 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 bang. I mean, how much do you want to squeeze out of these damn things? So this is the kind of market where I have to kind of go, this totally reminds me of, I think it was last summer. We had people saying DeFi was all the rage and it's okay to chase, and all that. And I'm sitting here going, way up here going, oh, Jesus, here we go again. And down we go. Well, I hate to say it, guys. This market is just one directional. And if anything, this probably is going to set up things like divergences off of indicators. This is only an hourly chart. So probably to get a better idea, we look at the daily, and I mean, come on, guys. Is this a market going parabolic? So the day of the shitting, I think we have been shattered on. But doesn't it feel like maybe it's getting a little overdone here, folks? I don't know. So actually what I do like right now is this idea of the dominance. Nobody's talked about dominance. It's just been altcoins, DeFi, rules the universe. And that's been basically since about the middle of January. I got a sneaky suspicion. Mr. Bitcoin Dominance, he wants to come back here. Now, I don't know whether, as kind of like we were joking with Kevin, he did a nice presentation in the Daily Brief here with the good people here today. I don't, especially in this crazy fugazi money printing, burr, all that kind of stuff, I don't think it's in anybody's interest to say, this is the top, I'm calling it top. I mean, this market's it's certifiable right now. Total emotional. As good technicians, don't chase. But I do like the idea of Bitcoin kind of getting a little bit pissed off with the kids and kind of saying, that Bitcoin dominance kind of thing, like who's driving the bus here? And that would be sort of this kind of conversation of bots. We actually held this exponential parabolic curve. Could we maybe come down here, clean up that breadth indicator overboughtness, bullish percentage, maybe clean this up a little bit. But this thing's got one hell of a head of steam behind it. And I don't really think it's in any of our best interest to step in front of this thing. I know there are some people that are hunting shorts, and hell, if those shorts work, awesome, way to go. But this to me screams of I'm a runaway bull here. We've run into an ABCD level. It'd be interesting for lower time frame players if you see divergences and if you get structure to work with here. But it's not something that I'm really too excited about thinking about doing. If anything, I kind of like the idea that move stop to scratch on this big honking bots right up here against these foggies. If we don't hit that and we can sort of calm down, well, then maybe we can put in another W. I was kind of hoping we'd get a nice polite one here. The market said, sorry, Brian, I don't think so. You could probably do, probably the same thing as, I'll pick every single study except for the one I want. There we go. That's the one I wanted. So, I don't mind the idea that if we did pull back down into this area, this is going to, maybe it was, I remember we did a parabolic curve and we were sort of playing with these off of the old levels. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. Tough to say. But if we did get a pullback against this trend line, we start Wing out and momentum indicators looking good, I might be quite interested. But here, there's nothing really for a guy like me to do. Of course, remember, I'm still technically long Bitcoin from $460 a coin. So I find it a bit amusing. We look down at the accounts, and of course, all the free stuff that we accumulated over the years, it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up in value. So make no mistake about it, I'm long a lot of crypto and long Bitcoin and long all the other names, and hey, I'm feeling great. But is this a trade? Is this a place where I could come in and seriously consider about putting new money to work? No. So same story as before. Nothing's really changed. And probably through this entire parabolic move, I'll be saying, look, it's too late to buy. I am spoon feeding into rallies, sell halves on doubles, yada, yada, yada. Make sure to sell some Bitcoin if you're trading the Bitcoin versus altcoins. And put it into like Tether or whatever the cash proxy is, just so you can pay your taxes and, keep governments happy. But I, frankly speaking, I don't know where the hell this orgy ends. And really, if we can work our way up into 70, we can work our way up into 100. Why not? I'm not calling those numbers. This thing will top when it tops, puts in big M's on bear divergences and all that kind of fun stuff. And until that happens, you just got to say, path of least resistance is up. So that's what I see right now. And I still think the path of least resistance is up. Little juniors, like I said, you're seeing a bit of red on the screen now. So I get the impression that this is a little bit of an environment. I see this often happen with Bitcoin, that the little juniors have a really good time of it. And then at some point, Bitcoin looks over and says, hey, who's driving the bus here? Let's call a spade a spade. And Bitcoin has to take over for a while. So it does feel to a certain degree like it's like that. And that's sort of this talk about, these poop coins have had a hell of a rally here. Could they maybe just calm down a little bit here? Maybe even consolidate these gains a bit to set up the next move. That's the way I'm leaning right now, for whatever it's worth. So there is your market state. Stocks rallying into resistance. Still, I think stock market's trying to clean itself up. US dollar looking a little toppy here, which in essence maybe even opens up the window for a risk-off counter-trend rally. Fascinating how we put that 1-year anniversary of the bond market bottom on there. And it looks like it liked that idea. Junior stocks, like the big stocks, still cleaning up. Nothing really to do there. And probably similar, junior cryptos cleaning up like the junior stocks. There's still some bull markets. There's always a bull somewhere, blah, blah, blah. But relatively speaking, Bitcoin probably looks better than the altcoins. In the short term, just like the S&P 500 shooting for those new highs to get up into that 4,000 strike looks better than the junior stock market right now. So really messy, and probably we're not going to get any clear direction and sort of signals until we get that silly legislation passed, get on the other side of this EVU, which is still technically a week and a half away, get on the other side. I know in Canada, for instance, there's a tax deadline coming up here on the 15th that I have to get some filings done by. So that might actually, I don't know in the States what the tax system is there, but it is interesting in Canada. There is a date I have to be concerned about here on the 15th. We have EVU energy release. We have the March options expiry. We have that crazy political unknown that just needs to be resolved. And of course, once that's done, then basically Fed bazookas can come out and probably support the market, put bases in, and then we start our next leg higher. And Bitcoin's 100,000. Who knows? All right. I don't know. Kind of wishy-washy message. I don't think I'm not really buying anything in altcoin land right now. I did some buying over there the past month or two. So I did do some buying. And stock market, not really doing too much buying, but there are some names that doing a little bit of nibbling on, but nothing really too aggressive. Just sort of, I would say I'm just sort of waiting. Just let's get this fundamental event window over with. Let's start to see new trends on volume come pouring in. And then really it's just simply all right, we got a new trend, let's hop on, grab on some stock and let's go, or crypto or whatever. But right now I don't feel that. So there's no real reason to push. So. Okay, everybody, I think I'll leave the rant at that. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.